I'm going to do something new today, sort of new. It's a baked pasta dish. I've done one before. I think it was called a bisceglia pasta, something like that. This intrigued me because my all-time favorite soup is pasta fagioli. In some places, well, in Italy, it's known as pasta e fagioli. My grandfather, my grampy, called it pasta fazool. And when I was very small, like nursery school, kindergarten, he used to make it. And I loved eating pasta fazool with my grampy. This is a baked pasta and bean dish. It's pasta fagioli al forno. And what especially intrigued me about it is it's made with also Italian sausage meat. It's got to be good, so that's what I want to do today. Let's make pasta fagioli al forno. I'm heating some water on the stove to cook some pasta. And what I have here is roughly 2.5 cups. I do things by weight, so this is 12 ounces, 340 grams of elbow macaroni. You can use other pasta. If you use larger pasta like penne, bulk up. You might want to use a larger volume, 3, maybe even 3.5 cups, depending upon how big the pasta is. That's why I do things by weight. So this is 12 ounces, 340 grams. When my water comes to the boil, I'll add salt, and then I'll put my pasta in there to cook. I want to cook this. Package directions say 11 minutes. That's probably about right. That should slightly undercook this. I want it more undercooked than usual because this is also going to go into the oven. It's going to be cooked even more in the oven. So undercook it a little bit. 11 to 12 minutes, I would say, maximum on this. And also what I've got is a 28-ounce can. This is about 794. These are whole tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes. I like these, so I'm going to open this can up and chop these up and save the liquid because the liquid is going to go into my sauce. I'm heating a large pot on the stove. I'm going to put in, I don't know, a tablespoon or two of, I call this cooking olive oil. It's pure olive oil. It's refined, not extra virgin olive oil, which I save for flavoring. I think of extra virgin olive oil as a flavoring oil. And then I've got 1 medium onion that I've chopped. Gonna put that in there. Turn my heat down to medium. And I'm gonna saute this until it's just lightly caramelized. I don't like uncooked or partially cooked onion in my food. I like it to be really well cooked. Meanwhile, I'm heating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 177, about 175 Celsius. Hopefully you can see that is browning a little bit. To this, I'm going to add 1 pound of Italian sausage meat. What I've got here is links, 4 of them, with the casing, the skin removed. Or you can just buy bulk 1 pound of bulk sausage meat. That's about 454 grams. And then obviously I'm breaking that up with my spatula. And by the way, right now I'm cooking over medium-low heat, and those onions took about 6 to 8 minutes to lightly caramelize over medium-low heat. Okay, that looks nicely broken up. Then I've got that beeping tells me my oven is up to temperature. I have 1 medium carrot and 1 medium stalk of celery that I've chopped. And I'm going to cook this another 6 to 8 minutes until that meat is no longer pink. That meat is starting to look like it's cooking. It's still a little bit pink. I'm going to add some garlic to that. That's 2 cloves, 3 cloves actually, 3 cloves of minced garlic. If they're very large cloves, you can use 2, and if they're very small, use 4. So I'll cook the garlic in there with the meat and the vegetables. That meat's looking pretty good. Looks like it's cooked fairly well. Next, I want to stir in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then add 1 teaspoon of dried oregano and 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil. If you like your food spicy hot, you could add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. I'm also going to add some salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I can always add more salt later. I tend to cook lightly with salt. You can always add more salt, but it's really difficult to take it out. Let that cook for maybe a minute, get those herbs going. And while I'm at it, I might as well add some freshly ground black pepper. Just to taste, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Boy, I want to start tasting that right now. That's looking so good. Okay, next I'm going to stir in my tomatoes. Those are my chopped tomatoes. And these are my reserved juices. This is the juice that was in the can. Make sure I get all that in there. Stir that in. Going to reduce the heat to low and just bring this up to a boil and simmer it. Actually, I'm going to leave the heat up to medium high to get this to come to a boil, and then I'll reduce the heat to low and simmer this for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. Doesn't that look good? Look at that. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited. My sauce has been simmering for 10 minutes. I'm going to turn the heat off because you don't want to add cheese to a mixture. When it's on the heat, it'll make the cheese go gummy. So I'm going to be adding next 1 can equivalent. I'm going to say equivalent because I started with dry and I cooked these. These are cannellini beans. So a 15-ounce can, 425 grams, drained and rinsed. As I said, I cooked these from dry. Stir that in. Cooked those yesterday, and then they've been in the refrigerator. And then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. And then 1/4 cup of, that's 1/2 cup, I'm sorry, 1/2 cup, 40 grams of shredded Parmesan cheese, and then 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley. Let's stir all that in. And then finally, these have been draining. This is my elbow macaroni. Get a few of them on the floor, but that's okay. I know where they are. And then stir all this in to distribute everything well. I feel like I want to have a little taste of this, so out comes my infamous red-handled tasting spoon. See what this tastes like. See if it's going to need salt. That does not need salt. That's fine as is. Okay, I'm ready to transfer this to a baking dish or a baking pan. I have here a 13 by 9 inch or 33 by 23 centimeter baking pan. You can use a glass dish if you want. I'm using a pan, and you can see that I've greased it well. And now I'm going to see if this entire mixture fits in there without overflowing, because this looks like a lot. This is where you can tell whether or not a recipe has actually been tested. And that's full, but it's going to fit. Try to smooth that out a little bit. And if you wanted to, one thing I'm going to do the next time I make this, if I make it again, and I think I will because this looks like it's going to be delicious, you could put this into 6 or 8 individual serving oven-safe bowls and then bake those. All right, that looks good. And now I'm going to cover this with foil. And as I mentioned earlier, I heated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 177 Celsius, and I'm going to bake this for 20 minutes in the oven covered. And then I'll take the cover off and bake it an additional 10 to 15 minutes. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is, while this is baking for the first 20 minutes, I'm going to shred more Parmesan cheese. And then before it goes back into the oven, uncovered, I'm going to garnish it with extra Parmesan cheese. I think that would be delicious. So this is ready to go into the oven. So here it is out of the oven after baking for 20 minutes. Nice. And as I said, I grated some more Parmesan cheese just to lightly, maybe not so lightly, garnish the top. This was maybe another half a cup. And what was that? A half a cup of Parmesan. I had it measured as far as, I wanted to say it was about 60 grams. 40 grams was half a cup. I've got written down 40 grams. Okay. A little bit more right in there. Let's be fussy, I might as well. And then uncovered, I'm going to return this back to the oven and let it go for another 10 to 15 minutes. If you wanted to brown this cheese, you could put it for a minute or two under the broiler. But this is headed back into the oven. Check this out. Have you ever seen anything so deliciously beautiful or so beautifully delicious? Look at that. That cheese melted over the top. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes just to kind of set up a little bit. And then I'll get to taste my pasta fagioli al forno. I spooned out some for myself in a bowl. It's just after 3 o'clock. Too late for lunch, too early for dinner, but that's okay. This is like a late lunch because I didn't have any lunch today. Let's see how this tastes. That's very good. That's very good. There's one thing I noticed in there, a little crunch from the celery. Gives it a nice little texture. That is really good. Really good. All right, excuse me. I'm going to go enjoy my pasta fagioli al forno.